this year and what we were going to be doing at IBC, new products, a couple of very interesting things in there. It is also kind of similar to the presentation that we did after NAB, but with more updated information in it. So without any further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And I've just seen a message from Miyoshi. I suspect it's probably by mistake. Never mind. So, Cinegy at IBC 2018. Here we go. So, somebody somewhere's got a noisy microphone. That's better. Okay, can everybody see my screen okay? I'm sure you can. If that's the case, then I shall...
Yes,
yeah,
we can see it.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. All right, then I shall tuck this out of the way and get started. So, it's coming up, well, it is in fact September again. Summer's over, long hot summer here in Amsterdam this year, and it's time for IBC. We're going to be coming this year with some classic products and some new products, and if I can get my, there we go, that should work, there we go. So, the question is, what are we showing this year? Well, the lineup is pretty much as standard. There's been some tweaks and fixes on various products that I'll be talking about as we go through. But some things have changed. We are announcing formal Cinegy professional services, and we are announcing, thank you, I've just had a message saying that I'm noisy. Hang on a minute. I've got some, yeah. Could I ask everybody to mute their microphones, please? If you've got the little green microphone up there, if it's green, can you tick on it and turn it off? And oh, yeah, I'm hearing a lot being turned on, but hello. Who has? Someone out there has a live mic. If they could possibly turn it off for me, that would be great. Is that okay? Daniel Alonso. Does that sound better now? Okay, still noisy. All right, bear with me for 1 second, and let's have a look. Okay. Okay. I think that might have helped. Danielle, is that better? Okay, great. All right. So yeah, so I had to come in from above and sort that out. So now start again. You're welcome. What we're going to be showing this year, as I already said, the range of products are well known. We have some tweaks and fixes that I'll be talking about as we go through, but we have a couple of new things. The first is the formal announcement of Cinegy Professional Services, which is a development from our earlier concierge thing that I'll be explaining later. And most importantly, our Cinegy Platform One offering, which is a completely new way of configuring and selling Cinegy Archive, and a much, much easier way of doing it. So without any further ado, let's get rolling. First, to start, I'm going to begin by talking about Cinegy Platform One. So I do a lot of talking to people about Cinegy installations and projects and possibilities. And the thing that comes back again and again and again is storage configuration. Now, we are always clear that Cinegy will work with any Windows certified storage, and you can choose whatever storage system you like, etc. But there are still issues of compatibility, resilience, tape or no, storage tiering, etc., etc., etc. And so we thought it would be good if there were a simple way of saying, okay, there's a storage box that's going to do exactly what you need, and we will have Cinegy pre-installed on it. The Cinegy will sit on the storage server itself and simply drop it in, and it's ready to go. So that was the idea behind it. And when it came to a hardware platform that we were going to work with, XenData seemed like a very good idea. XenData is a well-known storage supplier in any case, particularly in the media space. And they are well known for that because of the resilience and performance of their storage systems. So we are now in a position to effectively offer pre-integrated XenData storage systems to use with Cinegy Archive. This means that the classic questions about, okay, how do we tier it, how do we pass stuff off to tape, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, is all taken care of. It will arrive ready to use, and you can simply set the rules yourself as to how you want data to be moved around the system. You get a high performance storage array of disks and or a tape drive to hang off your system, and this will be guaranteed to work with Cinegy. So next up, Solo, Duo, and Quad. Some of you may already have heard about this or had seen earlier presentations or whatever. Cinegy Solo is a product that went away for a while. We had a great success with it back in days of SD and in the early days of HD, but we decided to concentrate on Pro for a while. Now we've brought Solo back, but we've brought it back in a much more flexible configuration. So the original idea of Cinegy Solo was that it would give you a television channel in a box. And it was originally an air setup that was locked onto the server that it was running on, so you had to run the control interface on the same machine, but that gave you a channel for a modest price. Things have changed since it went away, and so it's come back in a new form. Rather than one single channel now, we are offering the option of 1, 2, or 4 channels, and rather than simply Playout, we're offering the option of Capture as well. So if you buy a Cinegy Solo license, you can do a single Capture, a Capture and a Playout, or any combination of the two across 4 channels. Now, Cinegy Solo first, there you have one license that will allow you to run either air or capture. So you can have both on the machine, and one of them can be working, but not both together. Very, very simple concept. You have a utility machine that you can use as a video server or Playout or whatever, or as a capture box for an attractively low price. Duo is the same concept as Solo, but it gives you 2 channels so that you can have 1 each, capture and Playout, 2 capture or 2 Playout. And Ehab, hey, how are you, guy? So yes, we'll have time for questions at the end, by the way. So and I will happily take questions at the end. But since what I'm talking about refers through the presentation, if you could wait to the end, chances are any question you have now is going to be answered later. Okay, so the 4 licenses, as I said. So this gives you 4 ins, 4 outs, 2 ins, 2 outs, 3 ins, 1 out, and on and on. Now, where we are helped with all of this is that the current versions of Air and of Capture have had significant performance improvements. This means that whereas years ago, in the olden days of Solo, running an HD channel on a standard server was in itself quite demanding, modern servers, and specifically modern GPUs, make life a lot easier. It is now perfectly possible to build a server for really quite simple, quite low price that will include um, a suitable GPU, and that will allow you, therefore, to handle these 4 channels at the same time. So it is perfectly possible to build a server that can run these 4 streams together. This means that you have the possibility of a utility box here. 2 ins and 2 outs, for instance, makes a very nice something to look at for replacing a K2. You can build a play-in box based around a standard server and Cinegy Quad for the price of the maintenance on other studio play-in boxes. So it's a very attractive combination. So to summarize, here you see, starting from the left, Solo gives you 1 error capture, Duo gives you 1 error 1 capture, or 2 errors and 2 captures, etc. And Quad gives you the possibility of, well, as you can see, the variations are endless. So what you also need to know is the difference between Solo and Pro. Now, the way I always think of it is, if you're going to buy a Ferrari, imagine that Ferrari made a car that only had 1 seat and a radio. You'd still get a Ferrari engine, but you get, less bits and pieces with it. That's what we're talking about here. The Air Solo engine and the technology behind it is exactly the same as Air Pro. So you have a fully featured video server engine that can handle up to UHD P60 in all standard formats, codecs, etc., etc. It is exactly the same engine as Pro. What it misses is it misses the enterprise connection stuff. So you can't hook it into our MAM. You can't drive it from a remote connection. You have to manage the system on the server that it's running on. And there is no automatic branding support. So these are the bits that you are missing. Also, you can't hook it into MOS, so you can't use it in a news environment, etc., etc., etc. And you can't virtualize it. So these are all the limitations behind it. But the actual core engine itself is correct, and the exact same engine as in Pro. So a single Cinegy Solo license is a full-powered UHD playout system for, well, as you will see, not much money. Capture, the same applies. The Capture Solo version will not hook into a MAM, will not do multi-capture. It will only capture a single channel at a time. It doesn't give you the remote control or the schedule planner. But the engine, again, is exactly the same as the Pro product, with all of the features and all of the capabilities. The software is only limited in the additions, but the core remains the classic Cinegy software. So, so this is the pricing. A Cinegy Solo license, remember, this is a UHD playout system. Can be had for $1,999. Duo gives you twice the channels with a bit of discount, $3,499, and for just under $6,000, you have the Cinegy Quad, 4 playout channels at $1,500 each, or capture channels. If you want to add branding, the branding option is Cinegy Titler 2. This is our brand new engine, and I'll be talking about that later on when I come back to start talking about Air 12 in detail. Now this can be added on for $19.99, and there again, if you have Cinegy Solo at $19.99 plus Titler 2 at $19.99, that's $4,000. You have a fully functioning caption system in software, and as a single channel, your server hardware will not be demanding. You have a high performance branding and character generator for practically no money. Again, we're talking the sort of money you pay for maintenance elsewhere. So the benefits are fairly clear here, obviously. It's easy to pull together with a standard server configuration and sell it as an all-in-one solution. If you put Cinegy Quad with, say, a Xeon Silver 4114, an adequate memory, then you've got 4 HD channels there with absolutely no problem at all. You can configure it to work for Playout or Ingest or both. It's a very flexible system, so that you can change it to fix your to suit your requirements. It can be a capture box for most of the time, and then if a special event comes up, you want to add a channel, whatever, you can then turn it into a Playout box or configure it so it'll work that way forever. Software licenses for flexibility. I will again be mentioning the licensing again as we go through, but we are moving away from the dongle, leaving that to those areas where it's most appropriate, and we are giving you the possibility of using paper licenses. Much easier to manage all round, particularly in virtual environments and in the cloud. So most cost-effective UHD Playout ingest on the market. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. That you can get a UHD ingest system for $2,000. It's quite remarkable. And it's a quick and easy purchase. You can actually purchase this straight off our website. Once the purchase is validated, the license is delivered, and you are ready to go. So it's a very you can turn this around very quickly, both as a partner and as an end user customer. So, having talked about Air Solo, it's time to talk about Air Pro, which has now reached version 12. So, again, the serial number license is the first thing we mention here. It makes installation and configuration much easier. We have our fully integrated Daniel 2, our SMPTE 2022-6, which people have been asking about for a long time, and NDI, which they've been asking about for even longer, is now built into Air Pro. We support 10-bit and HDR, so you can play out in HDR for those broadcasters that require it. I've seen it, and it looks very nice indeed. There is optimization for cloud and GPU to allow you to take advantage of Cinegy's capabilities of running 16 channels on a single server. You can set up a cloud instance that will play out 16 HD or UHD channels because the GPU optimization has been tightened up so much, and we'll be seeing a slide about that in a minute. We have finally, after many years of having been asked, we have a legally compliant loudness option. We have partnered with Linear Acoustics to give regulated loudness, so you can now install Air and configure the loudness to whatever your local legal requirements are. You have full control of that. Our previous solution was simply a limiter, which did not meet legal requirements in many countries. So this is now a fully compliant loudness system that you can install where it is needed. We also have the options about putting clean video so that you can output your output stream without its accompanying branding. This is a level of flexibility that people had been asking for some time, and it's now there. The Titler branding system has the possibility to accept multiple live inputs. This means that with a bit of juggling and configuration, you can set up Titler to work as a DVE and have flying video screens going around your template and be looking extremely flash. This allows you to take IP streams and feed them into a Cinegy Air engine, identify them as being used by Titler, and Titler will then give you the possibility of handling those plates, those images independently, and it's nice. I've had fun playing with it. And Titler now comes with audio support, so you can build your bumpers and stings and what have you with their audio built into them right from the editor. This is obviously extremely flexible, and it gives you the possibility of playing those items out as type as titler templates with their audio straight in air without having to do any rendering or messing around. So these are all the big changes that we've seen come in with the Cinegy Air Pro. Also, we have switched our timing system to UTC. So this makes things like daylight savings handling, etc., much easier. And logging is also standard because all the logs have the same time. So if you're working across different time zones, this is a boon to you. And in general, it's just tidier. So logs, times, and other times are all handled in the system, in the engine, as UTC. So we have fade up and fade to black for items in a playlist. We have tidied up and tightened up the titler editor to a great extent. Bits and bobs on the air control, and our support of the Nielsen SDK has now extended to other Nielsen products. So as Nielsen has been swallowing all the other audience measurement systems, they've been integrated into Nielsen themselves, and now we're getting the benefit of that too. So if it's a Nielsen system, whether it's Arbitron or Nielsen or whatever, you should be able to integrate it straight into Air in a much more easy way in Air 12. So what's the upgrade argument here? Well, one of the strongest upgrade arguments we think is this one right here. If you look at the two pictures here, we have an HD channel playing out on a big CPU, but still a CPU, on the left-hand side, on the Air dashboard that you can see there. And on the right, we have that same channel playing out with the GPU offload. Now, as you can see, CPU usage is almost, well, it's almost not visible. In fact, I don't think it's visible at all. I'm looking really close at my screen and I can't see it. Now, I've seen this also working out in the field, and I've seen reasonably moderate servers. I mean, not brute beasts by any terms, but simple, straightforward servers that can now just chew up and spit out 4 channels of HD like it's nothing. So a lot of the performance and tuning and setup problems that used to be with Air, trying to make sure that you have enough resources to make stuff work, pretty much all goes away. Air is now much stronger with hardware offload than it used to be. Now, the also efficient and stronger is the Air CG engine, driven by the titler template. Titler, for those who aren't aware of it, will replace or has replaced Cinegy Type. Cinegy Type was long in the tooth. It was based around OpenGL. And when the decision was made to move all of our software to 64-bit, it was decided that Type would be better off being rewritten than replaced. So in its place comes Cinegy Titler, easier to use, faster, lighter weight, less demanding anyway, much more flexible, and more than a worthy replacement. You can do a whole bunch of things with Titler that you could never do with Type. So so that's also an important part of Air 12, is that full-scale Titler support. NDI, we have been being asked for NDI for so long now that it's a relief to be able to announce it. They're obviously out there in new tech land. There are a lot of people that are working with new tech systems as the simple, basic broadcast systems that they are. And adding NDI support gives us the possibility of integrating Cinegy closer with new tech systems. So, for example, it makes it possible now to run, and I'll be talking about more about this, run Cinegy Multiviewer in an NDI environment. And the UTC timing I've already mentioned. I'm not going to go back over that. And we move from that to Cinegy Desktop. Version 12 of Cinegy Desktop is a much stronger beast than the old Cinegy Desktop. For example, it now has full UHD support. So you will be able to do full-scale UHD production in Cinegy Desktop, end to end. The effects have been significantly improved and are now timeline editable to allow you to, for example, blur a face and move that blur around the screen, or whatever else you might need to timeline effects for, flips, etc. Daniel 2 is now completely built in. So the old Cinegy principle that you'd be using, you could work on a super lightweight version of your video and then conform it with the high res, etc., etc., etc. Or becomes a lot easier using the Daniel 2 codec because Daniel 2 just handles the video much more efficiently. So it's the mezzanine codec built in, and since its capabilities are equal to or exceeding those of any other codec, the quality is assured. You'll be able to use Daniel as the mezzanine codec through your production flow and simply turn it out to whatever output codec you want at the end of the chain without any difficulty at all. Capture Desktop Edition, I'm going to talk about in a second, and our third-party integration, the 3As, is also extended and enhanced in Desktop 12. So, first up, here we see the selector in the sequence creation dialog for making a sequence now in Cinegy Desktop. Old hands will know what this looks like, but they won't have seen all this stuff at the bottom. So here we have UHD, P50, P5994 drop frame and non-drop frame as sequence editing options. And that means the same as any other Cinegy sequence. You make it up in 2160 P50, you drop whatever video you need into that, but the sequence will remain in UHD and we conform to UHD. So you'll be able to mix, if you would want to, if you would need to, SD and HD content into your UHD sequence and output it all in 2160. Hardware acceleration has also been brought into desktop. So as we've been doing this over the last few years, to allow everything to work smoothly. So Cinegy Desktop has grown quite significantly with version 12, including going to 64-bit. This is a shot of the effects animation window where you can see we have splines for curving and keyframes, and from this you have a whole bunch of more tools than you had before for production. Then we also have the effects as ever, again accelerated, GPU accelerated, the full set of effects that you would need for a production environment. And so here we go. This is Daniel 2, referring to Daniel 2 within the Cinegy desktop environment. Since Daniel 2 handles 422 10-bit, as I said, there is no need for any kind of quality compromise. You can pull in full bandwidth, full quality UHD video and work on it. The H.264 and HEVC codecs from Nvidia and the CPU-based codecs have limitations compared to Daniel in various different places to do with color depth or performance. Daniel 2 just takes all of those away. So if you need to output in those formats to those codecs at the end of the day, then of course you can. But for the production flow, you can be working in full resolution and full color bit depth right up until you need to conform. Daniel 2 makes that possible because it, again, offloads the processing to the GPU, leaving the CPU for what it's supposed to do. No more ingest. What now? This is true. Desktop 12 comes without ingest. It has been replaced by Cinegy Capture and Cinegy Convert Desktop Edition. These are effectively, this is your replacement for the ingester. Those who are familiar with the Capture interface already will know that Capture has way more possibilities than the old Ingest had. The old Ingest had a bunch of historic options that were interesting, but when it came to updating it, much as with Titler, it was easier to put in something new and better than it was to fix what we already had. So the Cinegy Capture Desktop Edition means that now when you go to Ingest, when you select that option from the menu, up will pop the capture interface. And you can use the capture interface to do your capturing. By the same token, for Cinegy Convert, the old Convert engine that was part of old Desktop is again no longer supported. The Convert Desktop Edition gives you all of that functionality and a whole bunch more. And because these are the basic versions again of the more complicated products, if you wish to extend, then simply add more capture and convert licenses for scaling out the installation. The third-party NLE integration, Avid here is given as an example, has been polished up and tightened up so that it's easier than ever before to move content between Cinegy and Avid. And so, having talked about desktop, it's time to go on to Capture. Excuse me, Capture Pro V12. Again, support for 2022-6, 2022-7. These something that people have been asking for us for a long time. This is now built in. We can also pull in as an ingest source NewTek NDI. Just as with Air, HDR and 10-bit support is included. Daniel 2 is also included, which ties in with using Daniel 2 as a mezzanine codec in a desktop environment. DNxHR is also supported for UHD ingest. Excuse me. Audio channel mapping, uncompressed capture, HEVC, all in there. Fractional frame support and progressive segmented frame for cards that support it. It's all built into Pro V12. Also, capture control. You can, up to now, if you're configuring your input device, you would be doing it from the engine configurator. However, now you can actually also, in the control interface, if you are allowed to, you can change the input directly. So a lot of the things that previously were locked into templates are now actually directly changeable in the desktop, in the control interface itself. This has the big advantage that you can reduce the number of templates that you use and have basic templates with tweaks that you can use if that works for you. If you're working in an environment where the stuff is coming in a certain format and coming out in a certain format, it's probably less important. You can stick with templates. But capture control, the new capture control, gives you much more flexibility on a per recording basis. You can also now apply global templates to ganging, which is just handy. New macros for engine naming and labeling are introduced. The previewing has been tidied up a whole bunch. We support shared RAM previewing now as well. So although the 1 frame a second basic preview, which wasn't very demanding on the system, was always there, it's much easier now to get a smooth preview. The previewing was one of the things that used to take a lot of the effort, and again, because of offloading, it's become much easier. You can set a default template per record engine. Auto validation and auto filtering has been cleaned up, and UI improvements. Just, bit of dotting I's and crossing T's here. Multiviewer 14. Again, a bunch of things have come in here. We've tightened up the OP42 and OP47 teletext, so that renders much more nicely nowadays. NDI is also supported here, as I already mentioned. In environments where there is a lot of new tech already in use and where NDI is available, we can now drop in a Cinegy multi-viewer, and people in the NDI environment can get the benefit of that. There is no new tech multi-viewer that matches the Cinegy multi-viewer. So this is actually a very interesting product in the NDI environment. We're also using the shared RAM technology that I've mentioned earlier in multi-viewer. Shared RAM essentially makes the memory being used by one Cinegy application available to other Cinegy applications. So this, for example, is what one part of the magic that would make a single server running 4 channels like quad and a Cinegy quad. You would be able to use the shared RAM from Capture and play it straight out, and that saves you a whole bunch of CPU and calculations and so on. Bug fix on the unicast stream decoding, and a bug fix on SDI. Both of them is quite important. They're also built into multi-viewer 14. Next thing up isn't a product, it's a service. You may remember that a few months ago we were talking about concierge, and the idea behind Cinegy Concierge was that we would make our people available on timed slots to team viewer in, or to talk, or to help with various integration and workflow type issues. When we launched it, what we found was that people kept coming back to us and saying, well, yeah, but we'd really like it if we could get you guys over and if we could get stuff done. And we know that when we go out to do stuff that it speeds things up considerably. So having had a lot of people saying, well, it's all very well, but we want on-site, then we decided to go away and have another look at it. And instead, what we have now, rather than concierge, is professional services. This means that if you're doing a project, you will be able to plan in our time and services as part of what you're building up. You can come to us for workflow design, for installation, integration services, training, everything, and simply factor that in, and know then that your project will be delivered with direct input from Cinegy. You can book our time against specific requirements that we will lay out for you, and simply build that into the quote. A load of other people have been doing it. We never did up to now. It's time we did. So Cinegy Professional Services. So the idea is that we can do remote and or on-site, that we can do everything from soup to nuts, so workflow to commissioning, installation, and training. And the idea is that if we get involved, when somebody comes to us now with a proposition for a project, that we can work with them to lay out absolutely everything, including the final installation and integration and everything, using our services, speeds things up, makes quoting easier, and gives a lot of confidence as well. It's not that we don't trust our partners, quite the opposite. That's what our gold partner training, which I'll be coming back to, is all about. But we also understand that depending on the project, more hands may be needed than a particular than a partner may have available, for instance, or there are tricks or extra requirements, whatever. Just call on us. That's what we're for, and that's what Cinegy Professional Services will be doing. So obviously, it will actually, we seriously believe it will save money, because it's a straightforward payment to get a straightforward delivered item. It means setup and project management can work much more quickly. We will work with everybody on the workflow itself to make sure that it makes sense and it's optimized and works, does exactly what the customer wants it to, the end customer. And there will be an appointed professional services person for that particular project who will always be there to help with the setup and deal with the questions as they come. So this is what there will be. The way it will work is you come to us with the project, we'll say, okay, we can do you, we'll need 4 hours of time to do this, we'll need 4 hours of time to do that. We will quote you for a deliverable item, and based on the amount of time that it will take us to deliver it to you. So as long as you are specific in your requirement, we can be specific about what it's going to cost, and then you can just tick that off, and it'll be done. There will be a full document with the services laid out, etc. And there was also every possibility to come and talk to any of us at IBC about how this can work for you. So what was Cinegy Concierge is now professional services. What was phone and team viewer is now we will come and help you. And we've already been seeing very great interest in this. So we think that it's something that's going to help everybody. What it also has to be clear is we will, as I said before, we will work with you specifically on named items and deliverables. It won't be a case of this isn't working, make it work. It will be a case of where is the workflow, and once the workflow is in place, how do we implement it, etc., etc. So it's not going to be an open-ended thing. It is going to be working towards an identified, mutually agreed goal. The other thing to bear in mind with it is that obviously we're only going to do Cinegy stuff. When it says non-Cinegy related, that doesn't mean we're not going to touch it if it's got Avid on it. No, that's not. No. But if you think, oh, hey, these guys, they might know stuff, and then you start calling us up to ask about other things or hardware or whatever, no, that's out of scope. So we just want to make that clear ahead of time. What it's going to cost, how long is a piece of string? How much service do you need? However, what will be clear is that we will be able to, in the course of an initial discussion based on what it is that you need, we'll be able to give you an idea of exactly what's going to cost you, which can be then built into the quote and shown to the customer, say, him as a customer, they're actually coming to do this for you, and so on. There is not a requirement to order a whole bunch of stuff. If you just want a workflow doing, or if you just want installation and training, that's fine too. So you only need to order the specific parts that you want, and you can also say, okay, we need planning and workflow now, and we need integration at the end, and that can all be booked and programmed. So just talk to us, talk to a salesperson, and we'll be able to do all of this for you. I'm going to zoom through here because we're running slightly late. So rental prices. This is all I need to say is what's on the slide here. We are now in a position to be able to break down a license into pieces and sell just a month's use or whatever. We've done a little bit of this in the past for sort of specific customers. Now it's a general offering. If you need a 3-month air license, you can rent a 3-month air license from us. Come and talk to us about it if you need that. The next, Cinegy Partner Training. Gold Partner Training entitles you to additional discount, and generally means that we are proud to see you as our partner. The last one that I did was for our partners in Egypt who passed with flying colors. The next group one is taking place in October 22nd to 26th in our office in Bristol in the UK. Now, again, talk to us about it if you want to come and join us. Bristol is in the west of England. It has an airport right next to it. It's very easy to get from the airport to the office, and then you will see our UK-based office, and we'll have our guys helping you there. So, yep, so whoops, let me come back again. 22nd to 26th of October. Anybody that's been looking to do this, get it done, whatever, put that in your diary. Come and see us about getting on the list. Very quickly, AWS and Azure. This is so much a done deal now that it's really not worth talking about it anymore. But essentially, Air as a cloud instance is done, and you can do whatever you like with it. So output SD HD and Ultra HD up to 16 channels out of a single cloud instance. control the multiple channels via network, mixed codecs and resolutions in one playlist. Well, Air does that anyway, and then stream out to the network in MPEG-2, H.264, or HEVC, combined with your Zixi or whatever for channel delivery if you like. There are also various other options. That's it. It's a done deal. And for those installations where people are thinking, well, maybe we can do our playout in the cloud now, we think it's a very straightforward thing to do now. So the events that we are doing for the rest of the year, obviously IBC, because that's what we're talking about. The partner training 22nd to 26th of October, Broadcast India 25th to 27th of October in Mumbai, Nat Expo as ever, and Interbi in Tokyo. Even now, we are still thinking about other things that we may or may not be showing up at, but this is the big ones that are already agreed. So if you need to come and see us and you're not at IBC, maybe you'll be at Interbi or Broadcast India or whatever. So that's it. Now, Ehab was asking right at the beginning if he could ask a question. Are you still there, Ehab? Do you want to ask?
Yeah, I have a lot of questions. Yeah, about platform one. It includes one desktop. Is that right?
Hello. Can you?
Hello.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No, sorry. One of my colleagues just Skyped me up and said, "We can't hear you." So because of that, I missed the question. Ask me again. What was the question?
About platform one.
Yes.
It includes one desktop license. Is that right?
That's right.
And the storage. You will supply the hardware, the storage, the hardware of the storage and the server.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So what?
Price,
yeah.
It includes the server, the main database and server and the storage. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. What we're doing is we are installing the Cinegy software onto the XenData server. All right, so that you get your XenData server has archive on it, pre-configured for your tiering and what have you. Go to talk to your tape and to your disk. You have one desktop with it to manage that, and then for a production environment, just add all the desktops that you need. So that.
And when you said,
yeah.
And when you said 120 tera for LTO for storage, it means online storage.
Yes, that's online storage. That's hard drives. Yeah.
Okay. And for LTO, is library or just a standalone drives?
It's a library.
Okay.
So it's, as I said, it means that you just say, okay, we need the archive, storage, and backup. Bang, one price, and that's it. That's the whole idea.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So now I've had some questions come through in writing as well. So let's have a look at what they are. I'm going to answer these as they've come up. So, can we install desktop, capture, and convert desktop edition on the same PC? Yes. Well, if, for example, excuse me, the ingest and convert are options to go with desktop. So that would be one, but it's one single license. So that would be one license in that kind of a workflow. Does that make sense? So it's think of it. The fact that convert and capture are now external and called in, it only works the same way as it did before. We used to have the ingest license. That ingest license is now a desktop capture license. And we used to have the convert option, and that is now the Cinegy Convert Desktop Edition. So whereas before the utilities were options switched on in the actual desktop itself, now they're external add-ins, but there's still one desktop license. Lucas was asking which virtualization software do we prefer for GPU support? This is basically comes back to what I said about it's a done deal. we have tested in virtualization. We've tested with Hyper-V, with KVM, with Xen. That was the original. In fact, the original first time it was ever virtualized was using Xen. So they all work. Preference is completely up to you. There are some, for example, it was initially easier to use KVM because of pass-through issues. Those problems are pretty much fixed now. So all of the virtualization software allows GPU pass-through, and it's your choice, absolutely your choice. We don't recommend any one over any other. And I can't say there is one that doesn't work. They all work. Second, does control application use GPU to decode preview streams? Yes, it does, but it doesn't. If you the control application will be using a graphics card anyway to plunk the video on the screen, excuse me a second. We'll use the local graphics card to put the video on the screen anyway, but in the Air Engine, you can set the feedback codec to a GPU accelerated codec. So yeah, you can. It does use a GPU. If the question was, do you need one? My answer nowadays is you always need one. If we add Titler 2 to Duo or Quad, Ehab asks, will we need many licenses or one? You will need one license per output channel, Ehab. So if you've got somebody wants to output 4 channels of Quad with Titler, then they are paying per channel. It's too good to do any other way. So that's the answer on that question. Look, sorry, I didn't get what you meant with lots of small polish in AirPro V12. This is just as I said, this is bits and pieces that were added here and there. I think you probably saw all of that when I was visiting you guys when we set that up. But does multi-viewer support 2022 or only NDI or SDI? We use the board maker's driver. All right. So if you've got if it's coming in via an AGA card as 2022, it's just working the same as if it were an SDI input. Can we mix in multi-view SDI and NDI sources? Yes, you can. Capture control, I guess the same question. GPU support in capture control, exactly the same thing applies. You can set the feedback to a GPU supported codec in the server, and the actual application itself is always going to use whatever graphic card's available. Do we need to buy a Cinegy Capture Desktop license? Wow, that's a good. I don't know. I will have to check on that. Just I will get back to you on that, Ahmed. I've got your details here. Will we do effects from desktop itself on clips? Yes, you can. Yeah, absolutely, you can. Can we do a free trial for customers on cloud? Yes, there is also, by moving to the paper licenses, we would be able, in fact, to do that. And we have done various trials for various customers. Mostly, though, if it comes to cloud trials, then you're still going to have to rent the machine. All right. So because we don't do the machines, you know, Microsoft and AWS do the machines. But what we can do is we could give you exactly what machine it's likely to be, and you'd have to pay that whatever $2 or for the use of the machine. But we can make the license available. Ah, good. Thank you for that, Lucas. I was okay. So Ehab, if we can definitely do a cloud trial, but you would probably have to set the instance up yourself. Yeah. All right. So, okay. Well, in which case it's gone on a little bit longer than anticipated, but there's been some good questions, and thanks very much everybody for joining me. I'll be running it again this afternoon, late this afternoon. Not so useful for people from the east, but there will be another opportunity at 5 p.m. CET, and I'll be running through the same thing. So if there's anything you missed or anything you'd like, or maybe you want to invite colleagues to have a look at what we're offering, by all means join us. And for the rest, thanks for joining us, and I'm now going to close the meeting. Goodbye, everybody. Oh, yeah, okay, Lucas. Yeah, no, the webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be available, and we'll be announcing the available. Okay, I see you missed the start. Okay, yes, this has been recorded, and the recording will be made available, and you'll be informed as to where you can get a hold of it. So, with that, thanks very much, everybody, and I'll talk to you again. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.